1, 1984, police found Deborah Alexander, age 58, dead in her Los Angeles home from multiple gunshot wounds to the head. Alexander apparently had been shot while sitting at her kitchen table having breakfast. Police also discovered the bodies of Alexander's 24-year-old daughter Deetria and two of Alexander's grandsons, ages 13 and 8. All three had been shot execution-style in their beds. Williams I, Supra, 16 cal .40H at pp. 647, 649. About 6 months later, detectives arrested Williams in Northern California. After waiving his Miranda rights, Williams first told the officers he'd heard about the murders but he hadn't been involved. Later, he admitted he'd been at the Alexander house, but claimed he'd run away as soon as the other man who was with him, Tequan Cox, started shooting. Williams I, Supra, 16 cal .40H at pp. 648, 650, 656. Both Cox and a third man, Horace Burns, were arrested as well. Id. At pp. 647, fn. 1, 648, 650, fn. 3. Club. Id. At page 656. Cox, Burns, and Williams all were tried separately. Cox, the actual perpetrator of the murders, was convicted and sentenced to death. People vs. Cox 1991, 53 cal .3d 618. Burns, who had waited in a van with the getaway driver, was convicted and sentenced to life without parole. People vs. Burns 1987, 196 cal. App .3d 1440. Williams I, Supra, 16 cal .40H at pp. 647, fn. 1, 648, 650, fn. 3. Williams's trial began in mid-September 1986. Williams did not testify, but he presented an alibi defense. His cousin testified that, at the time of the murders, Williams was asleep on her couch. Williams I, Supra, 16 cal .40H at page 650. The jury was instructed on aiding and abetting as well as the natural and probable consequences doctrine, Kalyach numbers 3.00, 3.01, 1984 Reverend. The court also instructed the jury on the special circumstance of multiple murder. The court told the jurors, if the defendant, Darren Williams, was an accomplice or aider and abettor but not the actual killer, it must be proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he intended to aid in the killing of a human being before you are permitted to find the alleged special circumstance of that first-degree murder to be true as to the defendant Darren Williams. In December 1986, the jury convicted Williams on 4 counts of first-degree murder. But the jury failed to reach a verdict on the special circumstance allegation of multiple murder. In 1987, the allegation was tried before a second jury. Williams I, Supra, 16 cal .40H at page 647. The only witness at the second trial was the court clerk for the judge who presided over the first trial. She testified she was present in the courtroom when the guilt phase jury returned verdicts finding Williams guilty on 4 counts of first-degree murder. Id. At page 687. The jury in the second trial found the special circumstance allegation to be true and returned a verdict of death. Id. At pp. 647, 687. On appeal to the California Supreme Court, Williams raised a host of issues. The court rejected Williams's claims of instructional error on aiding and abetting and the natural and probable consequences doctrine. Williams I, Supra, 16 cal .40H at pp. 673 to 676. The court concluded the instructions on murder, intent, and malice sided together, told the jury that an aider and abettor who shares the actual perpetrator's intent to kill must have formed that intent beforehand. Id. At pp. 675 to 676. As for whether an aider and abettor must have knowledge of the perpetrator's unlawful motion, is knowledge of that intent and harboring the same purpose oneself. Williams I, Supra, 16 Cal.40h at page 676. The court also rejected Williams's contentions that the evidence was insufficient to show he intended to kill more than one person and he'd formed that intent